So here we will see about the styling concept. So we haven't written any styling, right? In any component we have written any styling. Up to now we haven't written any styling. So here in the fancy button, not in the fancy button, in the slots we have written somewhere. In the profile card, yeah, we have written some style, right? How actually styles work in the components, I will try to show you. One simple concept, one concept is there which you need to remember. For example, let's say that in the app.view I have a h1, okay, h1 post data, some component I am trying to show you. Okay, this is an h1, and if you try to see the output, here I am able to see the post data. So fine, it's working fine. I am able to see this h1. Let's say that in this one profile card is added here, right? In the profile card, in this card itself, I am having another div. So in this card, not card, here I will use another h1 post profile, something like this. Okay, post profile card. So which is also h1 only. If you see the output here, I am able to see these both are h1 only, right? Now in the app.view, I want to design this h1. See here I will write style. Okay, so here I will write style. Here h1 I will take, and here in this h1 color red I will give, and I will decrease the font size to 1 em. 1 em means 16 pixel, it will be 1.5 em. Okay, so 1.5 em I have given. So if you try to see the output, let's try to see the output. So we are able to see that post data has been changed, but the post profile card also has been changed. But this is not present in the component. This is not present in this component, but it is present somewhere in the profile card component. So I haven't written any styles for this h1, but I want to change only the h1 which is present in the app.view. So that is the reason I am writing the styles in the app.view. So here I will be thinking that, so you people will be thinking that whenever you are writing h1 here, so this h1 will be affected for only this h1, for not this h1 by default. So like this it will be there. So wherever in your project h1 is there, all the places it will be affected. But you want a situation in such a way that h1 which is present in this component only, the h1, it should only, the style should be affected by these styles only. So the other styles should not be, other components should not be affected. If you want that type of scenario means, then you need to use scoped here. Okay, so when you write this scoped option, automatically, so whatever the h1 tag present in this component, so only those elements only will be affected. So other elements will not be affected. If you try to see the output, see only the post data, the style has been applied. For this one, it has not been applied. So how this one is working is, whenever you mention this one as scope, in the inspect element, if you go here, the Vue.js for every component, it will apply some attribute. Okay, data hyphen v hyphen 7a7, some unique number it is trying to give it. So whenever you mention this one, the style will be applied with an element with an attribute selector h1 which is having a data hyphen v hyphen something like this. When you go inside this profile thing, so you are having this h1, right? So it doesn't have any any number here. Why? Because we haven't mentioned any style scope, right? When we mention style scope in that component, automatically a unique number will be assigned like this, data hyphen v hyphen something like that. So this is how the things will be working. So here you will be having data hyphen v hyphen app. So these all the numbers will be added for this one, unique number. Data attribute will be added, and using this attribute the Vue.js will try to assign it. So for this h1, when you mention this one as scoped, like this it will work. If you don't mention it as a scoped, means see, automatically the style will be applied something like, if you try to see here, inspect element, for this h1, see h1 like this it has been applied without any attribute selector, without any number. So like this it will be having. So here if you mention it as a scope, where is this one? So when you mention this one as a scope, then everything changed. So this is one concept you need to remember in this one. Whereas in Angular we will be using emulated view encapsulation, but here we will be using the scoped concept. So this is the thing which I want to tell you. Actually I have forgotten. This is the scoped styles concept. Styles concept, how it will work in the components. So if you want to make these styles restrict to only to this component means, then you need to use the scoped attribute here. So if you don't want the styles to be applied to all the components, to all the application it should be applied means, then you need to remove the scoped thing. Generally we use the scope only. Why? Because so in order to affect to only this component. So for each component you will be having script, HTML and also a style. So like this you'll be having. So here also if you want you can also use the scoped thing. So scope like this we can use it. So now the card header and footer which is available in this one only, it will be affected. So the class card if you are using somewhere else means these styles will not be applied. So you can have a safety with that one. So this is all about the styles concept which I want to explain you.